that my family is very important to me. I grew up in church, and God is very important to me. And I grew up making lots of jokes. Being funny is very important to me. What else? I also like songs. Songs are important to me. These are all things that I've always loved and always been important. Now, in those things, those don't define me, right? The things I love and part of my personality, they're still true of my new identity. So I could move all these words and they'd still be true. But I want to talk about things that used to define me that no longer do. Okay? So I need to look at my notebook so I don't forget. So when I was young, I had a not very fun childhood. I had parents who loved me. I had siblings who loved me. I had Liz and Jamie, friends who loved me. But in my whole life, I was very hurt a lot by different people in my family. Different people would abuse me in different ways, and it caused a lot of fear. So in my identity, I was always afraid. I was always fearful because I didn't trust people. Even people in my family hurt me, which made me think, if my own family hurts me, then how will the rest of the world treat me? I must always be afraid of everyone. I also tried to find help, and nobody helped me. I always felt alone. I was always fearful, I was always alone. But more than anything else, I felt unsafe and unloved. I felt like a child, even as I grew older. My mindset and my feelings, I was always a little 5-year-old girl who felt alone, fear, unsafe, and unloved. And I identified myself with those words. So every action I did, when I made a new friend, when I worshiped in church, when I played my guitar and sang, it was all motivated by this identity. Now, on the outside, this is what everyone saw about me. I was funny, oh thank you. I was funny, I loved my family, I loved God, I loved music, and everybody could see this, but this was a secret between me and God. And God knew what I thought. No one else knew, but I knew and God knew. So I'm going to call this Child of Self. Because I myself identified who I was. I was a child of what I said I was. And these are the things that I chose. And they are the things that I held on to. Now, I have, how much time do I have to read Bible verses? Do we have time to read Bible verses? Yes. Okay. Does anyone have a Bible with them? I need 3 people. 3 people with Bibles? Anyone? Could you look up John chapter 1, verses 12 and 13? And I need one more person. Who else has a Bible? Okay, you can look up Matthew 6, and I'll have you read a few verses. So go to Matthew 6, and then the last one is Romans. Who will look at this one up? Someone to read Romans? All right, Liz will read Romans. Romans 8. Okay, so this is how I was growing up. And then, when I was 12 years old, I started to understand more of the gospel. Have you ever been told something, but you don't believe it? Maybe? So if I told you the sky is pink, would you believe me? I hope not, because the sky is blue. But that's what the gospel was to me. Someone had told me the gospel, and I'd heard them say it, but I didn't believe it. And then when I was 12 years old, I prayed and prayed and prayed and spoke to God and really tried to gain understanding. And he helped me to understand that it wasn't him coming and wanting to take over my life. It was him coming to save my life. So when I was 12, I made the decision to be in relationship with Jesus. And when that happened, my identity changed. But I still was using my old card. I would still try to, in every situation, be motivated out of this card because I didn't know what was on this card. I didn't read my Bible. I didn't ask people for help. So I knew that I believed in Jesus, but this is all I knew. This was all blank. I didn't know any of it. So these verses will help to understand. You have the first one? John? Can you read that?
John
12 and 13. Okay. John chapter 1, verse 12 and 13.
John chapter 1, verses 12 and 13. But as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of God, even to them believed on his sons, 13, which were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God.
Thank you. So when the Bible says of man or sons of God, it can be translated children. Children of God. I won't go into deep details, but the Bible's original language was a masculine language. So many times when it says men or sons, it is both. It is children. It is people. Okay? So this verse is saying, if you receive God, you are a child of God. So this is the first thing I knew. Now I could look at this, and I could try to use this card, but what happens when my family comes to hurt me? And I already know, okay, well when my family hurts me and I feel this, I'd be funny. Or I'll sing a song. That's how I feel better. This is not going to help me feel better. 3 words. Child of God. I can say them, but they do nothing for me. I didn't know enough. I still was just thinking that these things were more important. So who has the next verse? Was it back here? Oh, you.
Matthew chapter 6, verse 6. Matthew chapter 6, verse 25. This is why I tell you not to be worried about the food and drink you need in order to stay alive, or about clothes for your body. After all, it isn't life worth more than food, and it isn't the body worth more than clothes. Look at the birds. They don't sow seeds, gather a harvest, and put it in them. Aren't you worth much more than birds?
So this verse, Jesus is speaking, and he says, look at the birds. Do I give them food? Do I give them shelter? Do I care for the birds? Yes, he does. And then he follows by saying, how much more important are you than birds? Just think about it. How much more important? So, this becomes helpful to me because before, I was unsafe. And now, I am protected. I can look at the Bible and see that God cares much more for me than any other thing he has created. Humankind, in his image, is so important, and we are protected. So I can Stop believing this and start believing this. Now, Romans 38 and 39.
For I am convinced that neither death, nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, nor things present, nor things to come, nor powers, nor height, nor depth, nor any other created thing will be able to separate us from the love of God, which is in Christ Jesus our Lord.
So I want you to answer this question. Based on that verse, what do you think it speaks to? Which one of these three words does that verse speak to?
I'm loved.
I'm loved. Because it says, nothing can separate me. So now, not only am I protected, but I am loved. Now, I want to hold this up and show you, because I don't want to read every verse, but I want to show you on this notebook, all of these are verses, just off the top of my head, that say what God thinks about me. Just out of my own head. Not out of studying, not out of looking it up on a computer, just from what I've looked at the Bible, I know these things. And all of these things erase every one of these things, and more. So I'm no longer a child of self, I'm a child of God, and not only am I protected and loved, but I'm going to read all these things to you. I am known by God, I am an heir, I am wonderfully made, I abide in love, I am like God, I have the authority to ask for anything, I am safe, I am unharmed, God is near me, and I am loved. Now those are very big differences, right? Now, when my family comes to me, and they want to treat me like they did when I was a child, they want to hurt me, how do you think I respond today? Because back then, I was just coping, right? I wasn't solving any problems. I was just coping. Today, not only do I know that I'm a child of God, but I also know that every human being has this opportunity, or already has this card. I can look at my family and say, I know that you have a new identity. I know that you understand the gospel. Maybe their card is still blank. Maybe they don't know it. So I can respond in love. I can respond knowing I'm protected. My old identity card is leading me to death. When I was 17, is anyone here 17? Anyone? No? When I was 17, all of these things led me to want to end my life. This identity leads you to death. Whether death on this world or death separated from God. If you are living in this identity, you are walking towards death. If you are living in this identity, you are walking towards life. So I want everyone to look and to think, which card are you using today